Well, we've promised you the biggest of the voices on the big talking point in our country today. We've spoken to renowned names from Sudhir Mishra to Javed Akhtar, and now I have Anubhav Sinha joining us on this special broadcast here to talk about what's happening in the country and why is it that suddenly we are actually seeing, even from Bollywood, so many names and personalities and celebrities actually speaking up and taking a stand this way or that way. What's going on? Anubhav Sinha, actually let me start with that question. Of course, there are many like you, even Anurag Kashyap or Mr. Sudhir Mishra, Mr. Javed Akhtar, who I was just speaking to, who've been very vocal for many of the issues, political or otherwise. But what we're looking at right now is a larger response from the film world itself. What do you make of that?
I don't look at it like, as if it's the film industry that's speaking. It's actually probably the media that's looking only at the newer names and people speaking up. It's actually the citizens of this country who are very worried and who are very concerned, and who are also agreeing with the youth of the country that's out there in the streets. The country belongs to the youth of this country, and they are the ones who are going to inherit this from us, and they are very concerned, they are very worried, and we are just sort of trying to stand behind them and tell them that we agree with you and we are with you.
I know you said that you don't see it this way, but I mean, let's just say that many people would have been surprised that Deepika Padukone landed up at JNU yesterday. The big allegation from many is that she's doing it because, her movie is coming up. She's been doing a lot of promotions. Any publicity is good publicity. And so she's decided to use this issue. What's your response to that?
How many people were there when she went to JNU yesterday?
Well, over 100 for sure, between students and the teachers and activists.
Okay, so let me give you an example. So if Deepika Padukone chose to get off her car anywhere in this country and stand there for 5 minutes, she'll have 15 times as many people in 5 minutes. So she does not need to use that platform as an opportunity to promote her film. There's a battery of people, brain, resources that are working towards promoting her film. And I'm sure, trust you me, I'm sure 90% of those professionals working for her would have told her against it. That makes her visit to JNU even more credible because she knew she was walking onto a very, very vulnerable zone.
Against it, why? Why would she be advised to not go there? Yes.
Because, see, you're doomed if you do, you're doomed if you don't. So if she doesn't do this, there are questions being asked of various Bollywood personalities, why aren't you speaking up? The moment you ask a question, there is a problem. So you have to go by your gut feeling, you have to go with your heart, and you have to feel motivated enough on some day when you go and take a stand. And she did take a stand yesterday, which is her choice. We should respect her choice.
Okay, so let's get to the larger point here, which is to talk...
remember...
Go ahead, please.
Remember, she is not only a movie star who's releasing a film. Remember, you must also remember that she is the daughter of a national icon. She is a very concerned citizen, and she's a tax-paying concerned citizen who felt like going there. How can you question her about her intent?
Maybe because when the JNU violence happened, where you actually saw serious allegations of police brutality and the police forcefully barged into university libraries and hostels and students were beaten up, we didn't see this kind of reaction, but we're actually seeing it in a case which is a case of two sides, the left and the right clashing and beating each other up.
No. First of all, it's not beating each other up. Let's not change the narrative. It is certain people ABVP people who entered JNU, beat up people, and that's what it is. Now the police can, there's a history of police actually filing pressing charges against the victim past 5, 6 years. You've seen that, I've seen that. So it's not about a clash at all. It's about victimization, brutalization that happened, and the kids, I mean, whether it's Jamia or it is AMU, and trust you me, the AMU story hasn't fully come out yet, and whether it's JNU or various other universities, yesterday in Ahmedabad, this is happening all over the country. And we have to recognize it. We have to stop seeing, various diversions to not talk about the real subject matter. The real subject matter is that kids are being brutalized. And they cannot be brutalized. They are the future of this country. The university in question delivers Nobel Prizes to us. They delivers some top of the line bureaucrats to us. Ministers present, working in office ministers.
Correct.
That's what we are talking about.
Correct. How have we reached
and
this point?
Instead of asking the film industry questions, please ask Mr. Rajnath Singh, what does he feel about this? Why hasn't he said anything? Let's talk to Mr. Advani, the tallest BJP leader alive. Let's talk to him and let's ask him what does he feel about it, instead of chasing Deepika Padukone and Amir Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
But do you think this is a good thing, Anubhav Sinha, that more and more faces from various walks of life are opening up and taking a stand? If at all it makes the conversation more broad-based and gives it a bigger fillip for everybody to start talking about it. Let's just face it, lesser people were talking about this 2 days ago, irrespective of the fact that it was a national news headline on all media channels for many, many days now, then they're talking about it today.
Yeah, obviously, more influential people speak up, more people will get aware, more people will have a perspective. So if Mr. Advani has something to say, he should say, and we should hear it. He is the man responsible for forming this political party that is in power right now. I want to hear him. Personally, I want to hear Mr. Advani say something about this. But unfortunately, across news channels, across newspapers, no one else seems to be interested in knowing what Mr. Advani has to say or what Mr. Modi has to say. He's our prime minister. There's so much going on in the country. I'm sure he has something to say. So either you guys are not asking him or he's not saying it. I should know this.
You say, why are people not asking? And because you've actually, made this comment about media, I'm asking you this question, Anubhav Sinha. You're saying, why are we not seeking a response from LK Advani, the man who led the movement in the early 90s, led the Ayodhya movement in the early 90s, and we all know how that culminated and what happened after that movement. You're saying we should ask that man what he thinks of what's happening in university campuses today?
I think his is the most important opinion as of today. He is the man who created BJP.
Correct.
He is the man who led BJP into power. I want to hear from him what he feels about it.
Okay, let me ask you this question then. And the movement, many are calling it, and perhaps it is gaining that kind of scale now across cities, across campuses, youngsters,
it is a movement.
Citizens.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes. Go ahead. It is a movement, you say. All right. What is the movement about, Anubhav Sinha? If I had to ask you, define this movement for me. Is it about Citizenship Amendment Act? Is it about economy? Is it about JNU and Jawaharlal Nehru University? Is it about police brutality? Is it about the Constitution? What is this movement about?
This is my personal opinion,
yes,
and it's getting stronger day by day. I think this movement is about just one word, and that word is enough. These students have been seeing the divisive politics and policies over the past 6 years. They've been taking it. It started with one news headline in newspapers right after they came into power that the Muslim population will certainly surpass the Hindu population in 20 years or whatever, something like that. And then it became about love jihad, and then it became about ghar wapsi, and then it became about mob lynching, and then it became about cows. And, you know, the youth take some time to catch up, and it caught up with them. And they said, what the hell is going on? And CAA and NRC and NPR, all this became a trigger for them to come on in the streets, and they say, what about my education? What about my jobs? What about the economy? What about housing? What about medicine? What about insurance? What
Right.
about the real issues? How long will you talk about Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, conversion here, conversion there? Let's talk about building the country. Where are those smart cities?
Right.
Where are those smart cities? Where are those 2 crore jobs? That was a part of your manifesto. Deliver it to me. That's what the youth is saying.
Okay. What about the collective 45% of this country that voted for NDA just less than 10 months ago, 8 months ago? In the general elections, an overwhelming majority of over 45% voted for this party.
Of course, 65% didn't. So it is certain percentage of those 65%, and trust you me, certain percentage of those 35% as well, who are asking this question. These questions actually. So you are sitting in power with 303 seats. There are 250 more seats in the House. They are asking this question, and I'm really surprised and intrigued. Where is the MP from the Jamia area? Where is the MP from the JNU area? Why aren't they going and talking to them? Why aren't they? These are the people who voted, right? Then go and talk to them. What's going on? What's wrong with you? Let's sit down, give them a hug, have a cup of tea with them, talk to them. But no, you go and have tea with some other people who are aware that you're coming and they're ready with samosas and chai, and you make an event out of it. And then you publicize it that, you know, I'm going door to door. But no, you're going in the wrong places. Go to the right places.
I watched your last movie, and frankly, I quite liked it. If I had to ask you, Anubhav Sinha, if you had to make a movie about what's going on in our country today, who would your protagonist be?
A young boy. A young boy. It's actually the youth of this country. I've always maintained that the most powerful beings on this planet are the women on this planet, and the most important people who will take this universe ahead are the youth of this on this universe. And it's the youth that is taken up. It's the youth that's taking it forward. And so, if you were to make a movie on this subject, it will be a young man and a young girl, or a young girl and a young man.
All right, let's leave it at that. I do agree with you that what we are seeing right now, especially in the last 1 month, has genuinely been led by the students of this country across universities, and that's literally, you know, given a fillip to this movement, as it's now being called, with more and more people joining across the cities. What happens with this, we still have to wait and watch. But thank you, Anubhav Sinha, for joining us here on Mirror Now and speaking to us.